Do you know that the roots of country music can be traced back to just a handful of songs that changed everything? From fiddle-driven folk tunes echoing through rural barns to heartfelt ballads that carried the stories of everyday people, these tracks didn't just entertain, they inspired generations of artists, set the standard for storytelling and music, and gave country its unmistakable soul. Here are 20 groundbreaking songs that gave birth to country music. I Walk the Line, Johnny Cash, 1956.
Keep a close watch on this heart of mine.
A young Johnny Cash standing on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry, guitar in hand, that deep voice of his ready to roll like distant thunder. The crowd probably thought they knew what they were about to hear, but no one was ready for the magic that came next. I Walk the Line was not just another mega-hit country song. It was Johnny's way of saying, "Honey, I am committed to you, no matter how many temptations try to trip me up." And let's be honest, with that kind of fame, the man had quite a number of options. This was his breakout hit, the song that made people sit up and say, "Who is this guy with the voice that sounds like it's been marinated in coffee and gravel?" Johnny didn't just sing about staying faithful, he made it sound heroic. The beat had this hypnotic train track feel that pulled you in and didn't let go. His way of changing keys for each verse? Pure genius. It kept the song fresh right to the last note. Johnny came up with the idea while serving in the Air Force in Germany. He wanted a song that would remind him to be faithful to his first wife back home. So yes, this hit was basically a long-distance love letter set to a beat. Not bad for a guy in uniform with a guitar. More than 60 years later, I Walk the Line still has that power to make you feel like standing up a little straighter and making promises you actually intend to keep. It is a reminder that love, when guarded, can be as steady as that boom-chicka-boom rhythm Johnny made famous. Blue Moon of Kentucky, Presley version. Elvis Presley, 1954. Now, before Elvis got the world shaking their hips, he decided to shake up country music itself. The original Blue Moon of Kentucky by Bill Monroe was a sweet, slow waltz, the kind of thing you'd dance to on a quiet night in a Kentucky barn with a lantern light and maybe a jug of sweet tea nearby. Then along comes Elvis, fresh-faced, slick-haired, and full of rockabilly energy, and he flips the whole thing on its head. Instead of swaying gently to a 1-2-3 waltz, Elvis cranked up the tempo, added a slap bass, a snappy backbeat, and turned it into a wild, foot-stomping ride. It was still country at heart, but now it had this youthful swagger, like it had just gotten a brand new pair of blue suede shoes. People didn't know whether to dance, cheer, or call their preacher. This was one of the songs that helped launch Elvis into superstardom. It showed the world he could take tradition, respect it, but also twist it into something thrilling and new. Rock and roll might not have been born right here, but let's just say the baby sure started kicking. And here's the best part. Bill Monroe himself, the father of bluegrass, wasn't offended. In fact, he loved what Elvis did with his song. He even re-recorded it later in Elvis's faster style. That is like your grandpa borrowing your sports car and driving it faster than you do. Respect. Blue Moon of Kentucky in Presley's hands became a bridge between old-time country and the bold new sound of rockabilly. It was the sound of a new generation ready to make some noise, and boy, did they ever. Crazy, Patsy Cline, 1961.
Crazy for feeling so lonely.
If there were ever a song that could make you feel like you're sitting in a smoky little lounge with your heart on the table, it's Crazy. Written by a young Willie Nelson, who at the time was more struggling songwriter than country icon, this ballad found its perfect voice in Patsy Cline. And what a voice it was! Smooth as velvet, strong as steel, and able to carry heartbreak like it was the finest diamond in the world. When Patsy recorded Crazy, she was actually recovering from a serious car accident, which meant she could barely stand during the session. But when she opened her mouth to sing, you'd never know it. The emotion in her delivery is so real, you'd swear she'd lived through every word. And maybe she had. The melody drifts and sways like it's had one too many drinks, perfectly matching the lyrics about love that doesn't make any sense but refuses to let go. And let's face it, who among us hasn't looked back at someone and thought, why on earth did I let myself fall for you? Yeah, crazy is that feeling wrapped in a 3-minute masterpiece. The song was a huge crossover hit, climbing not only the country charts, but also the pop charts, making Patsy one of the first true crossover queens. And it made Willie Nelson a lot of money, which is always nice when you're a starving songwriter with a guitar and a dream. To this day, Crazy is one of the most played jukebox songs in history. It's timeless, it's haunting, and it's proof that sometimes the saddest songs are the ones you just can't stop singing along to. Patsy made heartbreak sound so beautiful you almost wish you were going through one just so you could relate better. Almost. Jolene, Dolly Parton, 1973. If you have never begged another woman to please not take your man, then congratulations. You might not fully understand Jolene, but trust me, Dolly Parton made sure the rest of us know exactly how that feels. Written in just one writing session, this song has become one of the most iconic country hits ever. Dolly said she got the idea after meeting a stunning red-headed bank clerk who was a little too friendly with her husband. Now, Dolly being Dolly, she did not start a fight in the bank. Instead, she went home and turned the whole awkward moment into a masterpiece. That is called talent, my friends. The magic of Jolene is in its simplicity. It is just Dolly's sweet yet pleading voice, a simple guitar rhythm, and lyrics that sound like a diary entry you were never supposed to read. It is raw, it is real, and it is relatable. And here is the twist. The name Jolene actually came from a young fan Dolly met at a concert, not the bank clerk herself. So somewhere out there is a woman named Jolene, who will forever be known as the ultimate man-stealer in country music history. Sorry, girl. The song was so good it earned a place in the Grammy Hall of Fame and has been covered by everyone from Miley Cyrus to the White Stripes. But no matter who sings it, nobody can make begging sound as beautiful as Dolly can. Coal miner's daughter, Loretta Lynn, 1970.
Make a poor man's dollar. My daddy, he worked all night in the van.
Some songs tell a story. Coal miner's daughter is the kind that makes you feel like you lived it yourself. Loretta Lynn did not just write about her life, she invited us into it, muddy boots and all. This autobiographical hit is about Loretta's humble beginnings in Butcher Hollow, Kentucky. Her father was a coal miner who worked hard to keep the family going, and Loretta sang about it with pride and warmth. She did not sugarcoat the struggles, but she also made it clear that love and family mattered more than money ever could. The song is so honest and vivid that it inspired a best-selling autobiography and an Oscar-winning movie. You cannot listen to Coal Miner's Daughter without feeling a little nostalgic for a simpler time, whether you grew up in the mountains or in the middle of a big city. Loretta's delivery is like a conversation with a friend over coffee. She does not try to impress you with fancy metaphors. She just tells it like it is, and that is what made her a legend. This song is a reminder that your roots are worth celebrating, no matter how humble they are. A man, a guitar, a prison crowd, then one chilling confession that forever changed country music's outlaw heartbeat. Hold tight to your seat and grab a cup of coffee as we dive deeper into the list. Folsom Prison Blues by Johnny Cash, 1955.
It's rolling around the bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since...
Nobody could bring prison life to the microphone quite like Johnny Cash, and Folsom Prison Blues is living proof. The idea for the song came after Johnny watched a prison-themed movie while serving in the United States Air Force. Something about the story stayed with him, and he began crafting the tale of an inmate whose voice felt so authentic that listeners could easily believe Johnny had served time himself. From the very first guitar riff, the song demands your attention. Then comes the unforgettable line, "I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die." It remains one of the coldest and most haunting lines in music history, delivered with Johnny's trademark calm confidence. The song took on an even greater legacy in 1968, when Johnny performed it live at California's Folsom State Prison. The room erupted with cheers, laughter, and applause, not because the inmates were glamorizing crime, but because Johnny had managed to capture their reality in a way that felt raw, human, and unfiltered. It was more than a concert. It was a moment of deep connection between an artist and an audience most of the world never sees. Folsom Prison Blues went on to become a cornerstone of outlaw country music. It was gritty, it was brutally honest, and it was unapologetically real. And somehow Johnny Cash made the blues of prison life sound cool enough for the rest of us to sing along, even if we had never set foot behind bars. Blue Suede Shoes by Carl Perkins, 1956.
Slander my name all over the place. Do anything.
Before Elvis Presley took it to the stratosphere, Blue Suede Shoes was the proud creation of Carl Perkins. And let me tell you, Carl could rock a country tune in a way that made people sit up, tap their feet, and grin from ear to ear. This song is pure rockabilly energy, the perfect blend of country charm, the rebellious spirit of early rock and roll, and enough attitude to fill a dance hall. The inspiration for this gem came from a rather unlikely source. While serving in the Army, Carl overheard a fellow soldier bragging about his beloved pair of blue suede shoes. The man said with absolute seriousness that people could step on his feet, bump into him, or even make him mad, but they better never, ever scuff those shoes. Carl found it so amusing that he tucked the idea away in his songwriter's mind. Later, he turned it into a full-blown song about a man who would put up with just about anything except someone messing with his prized footwear. When Blue Suede Shoes hit the airwaves, it was like nothing people had ever heard before. The beat was quick and infectious, the guitar riffs were sharp and playful, and the lyrics stuck in your head after the first listen. It was cheeky and lighthearted, yet somehow still cool. People danced, laughed, and sang along, and suddenly the humble blue suede shoe became a pop culture symbol of style and individuality. The song did more than just climb the charts. It broke barriers. It was one of the first tracks to successfully cross over from country into rock and roll territory without losing its original twang. It showed the world that country music could be modern, fun, and full of personality. Artists began to realize they could experiment with new sounds, borrow from different genres, and still stay true to their roots. And of course, it made all of us a little more protective of our favorite shoes. Whether they were suede or not, the idea of guarding them like a treasure just felt right. Carl Perkins may have started with a funny conversation, but he ended up giving us a timeless classic that still makes people want to hit the dance floor, careful not to step on anybody's toes. Blue Yodel No. 1, T for Texas, Jimmy Rogers.
T for Texas, T for Tennessee.
When Jimmy Rogers stepped into the studio in 1927 to record Blue Yodel No. 1, he wasn't just singing, he was shaping an entire genre. The song's distinctive mix of country storytelling, blues phrasing, and Rogers' signature yodel wasn't something audiences had heard before. His lyrics painted clear pictures of heartbreak, betrayal, and travel with a casual swagger that made him relatable to working-class listeners. This wasn't polished parlor music. It was raw, real, and rooted in everyday life. Blue Yodel No. 1 became a national sensation, selling over 1 million copies in an era when radio was still finding its place. Critics often call it the moment country music gained its independent voice, stepping out from under the shadow of folk and blues to stand on its own. Rogers became the genre's first true superstar, inspiring future legends from Hank Williams to Merle Haggard. The T for Texas refrain turned into a rallying cry for early fans, and his innovative style became the blueprint for countless country songs that followed. More than 90 years later, the track still feels alive, full of grit, charm, and the sense that the open road is just one train whistle away. Wildwood Flower. Few songs in American history carry the warmth, purity, and staying power of Wildwood Flower. Recorded by the Carter family in 1928, it became one of the first million-selling country records, an almost unheard-of feat in its day. The Carter family's tight harmonies and Maybelle Carter's innovative Carter scratch guitar style gave the song its magic. Though based on an older folk melody, their version distilled the heart of rural America into a recording that listeners could take home and play over and over. Wildwood Flower didn't become such a success by being flashy or dramatic, but because it was honest, melodic, and hauntingly beautiful. Its lyrics contained that charm that just makes you feel nostalgic as your mind starts to create imagery of nature and love, making it resonate deeply with people who lived far from city lights. This song also signaled that country music could be more than train whistles and cowboy ballads. It could be intimate, poetic, and profoundly human. For decades, Wildwood Flower has been a rite of passage for guitarists, a staple of folk and country repertoires, and a reminder of the genre's deep connection to family traditions. More than just a bestseller, it set the gold standard for vocal harmony and storytelling in early country music, helping to solidify the Carter family's legacy as the first family of country. Blue Moon of Kentucky, Bill Monroe and his Bluegrass Boys.
Kentucky, keep on shining.
When Bill Monroe and his Bluegrass Boys recorded Blue Moon of Kentucky in 1947, they weren't just releasing another waltz. They were defining the sound of bluegrass. With its driving mandolin, high tenor vocals, and perfectly balanced fiddle and banjo, the track became an instant classic. Monroe's distinctive three-quarter time signature gave it a gentle sway, yet the instrumentation carried an undeniable energy that kept dance halls buzzing. The song was more than popular. It became the official state song of Kentucky, cementing its cultural significance. Years later, Elvis Presley famously reimagined it in a rockabilly style, showing how versatile and influential Monroe's composition truly was. Blue Moon of Kentucky bridged the gap between old-time Appalachian music and the faster, more virtuosic style that would define bluegrass. It demonstrated that country music could be both deeply traditional and musically adventurous. Every time Monroe hit that soaring high note, he was not only singing to the hills of Kentucky, but also to future generations of musicians who would keep bluegrass alive. The song remains a shining example of how regional roots can grow into a worldwide musical movement, carried on the strings of a mandolin and the heart of a legend. From dusty porches to roaring radios, watch out for these next songs that lit the fuse and turned simple folk tunes into unstoppable country legends. Wabash Cannonball, Roy Acuff and the Crazy Tennesseans.
Cold December day, as she rolled into the station.
Few songs are as intertwined with early country broadcasting as Wabash Cannonball. Though the tune dates back to the 19th century, Roy Acuff's 1938 recording with the Crazy Tennesseans gave it new life and a permanent place in country music history. The song's imagery of a mighty train rolling through the American heartland spoke to a nation in motion, where railroads symbolized freedom, opportunity, and connection. On the Grand Ole Opry stage, Acuff's warm, resonant voice carried the story across the airwaves, introducing countless rural listeners to the magic of radio. Wabash Cannonball wasn't just entertainment, It was a unifying thread for communities scattered across vast distances. Its steady rhythm and sing-along chorus made it a crowd favorite, whether at barn dances or living rooms gathered around the radio. Acuff's version transformed a folk standard into a cornerstone of the Opry's repertoire, and it became his signature song for decades. More than 80 years later, Wabash Cannonball still feels like an open invitation to ride along the rails of history, where the whistle blows and the horizon calls. It's proof that some songs don't just survive the passage of time, they gather more steam with every mile they travel. Can the circle be unbroken by and by? The Carter family. Imagine it's the middle of the Great Depression. Times are hard, the pantry is looking bare, and the future feels about as bright as a burned-out lantern. Then you turn on the radio and hear, "Can the circle be unbroken?" The Carter family's harmonies float through the static like a warm breeze on a cold morning. Suddenly, there's hope. This was more than just a song. It was a hymn for every family holding on through grief, poverty, and loss. The lyrics speak of loved ones gone, but also of reunion in the sky, Lord in the sky. For people who had buried far too many dreams and friends, that promise was like gold. The Carter family didn't just sing, "Can the circle be unbroken?" They made you believe the circle could, in fact, hold. Their plain, heartfelt delivery turned this into a timeless gospel country anthem. It became a staple at church gatherings, barn dances, and kitchen sing-alongs all across America. Even now, nearly a century later, the song still tugs at the heart in the same gentle, reassuring way. The world has changed, but the circle, well, it is still unbroken. On Top of Old Smoky, George Renaud, before it was a playground song for generations of kids, On Top of Old Smoky was a tender ballad, and George Renaud gave it its first real moment in the spotlight. His version is haunting in its simplicity, just a man's voice, a mountain breeze in the melody, and the kind of longing only old love songs carry. The lyrics tell a familiar story of lost love, the kind that slips away for courting's to pleasure and parting's to grief. That line alone feels like it came straight from a front porch confession on a summer night. This was one of the first Appalachian folk songs to be recorded and sold commercially, and it helped prove that music from the hills deserved a place in the national soundscape. Renaud's straightforward delivery let the song's honesty shine through. No frills, no showboating, just heart. Decades later, the tune has been covered in just about every style you can imagine. But there's still something magical about hearing it, the way Renaud first sang it. It's like opening a time capsule to a moment when music traveled on crackling radios and was carried by word of mouth from one porch to the next. You Are My Sunshine, Jimmy Davis with Charles Mitchell's orchestra. It's hard to believe a song this sunny could hide so much heartbreak, but that's the secret of You Are My Sunshine. When Jimmy Davis sang it with Charles Mitchell's orchestra, he gave the world a tune so catchy it became part of America's DNA. Campfires, weddings, lullabies, you name it, this song has been there. But listen closely. Behind the happy chorus is a bittersweet story of love slipping away. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Sounds sweet until you realize it's followed by, please don't take my sunshine away. That's a plea wrapped in a smile. The song became an American standard and even earned the honor of becoming Louisiana's state song, thanks in part to Davis's later career as the state's governor. Whether he was singing on stage or shaking hands on the campaign trail, this tune followed him everywhere. Even today, the melody feels like a sunbeam you can hum. It's proof that sometimes the brightest songs are born from the darkest feelings, and that's what makes them unforgettable. I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry, Hank Williams, 1949. If loneliness had a soundtrack, Hank Williams wrote it in I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. There's no sugarcoating here, just raw, aching honesty wrapped in a melody so simple It cuts straight to the soul. From the first line about hearing a whippoorwill too sad to fly, you know this isn't going to be a feel-good number. Hank paints loneliness in images so clear you can see them. The midnight train, the weeping robin, the moon hiding behind a cloud. Every verse is a postcard from heartache. When Hank performed it, he didn't just sing, he bled it out through every note. That's what made him one of the greatest storytellers in country music history. He had the gift of making you believe he'd lived every single word. Over the years, countless artists have covered this song, but no one matches the haunting stillness of Hank's original. It's the kind of song you don't just hear, you feel it settling into your bones. And sometimes that's exactly the kind of truth you need a song to tell. Some say these songs carry secrets. Play them backwards, and you might hear ghosts, love confessions, or a recipe for cornbread. Don't go anywhere yet till you see the end of the list. Ring of Fire, Johnny Cash.
Bound by wild desire.
Some love stories are gentle as a summer breeze. Ring of Fire is not one of them. This one blazes from the first note with mariachi-style horns charging in like a brass cavalry. Johnny Cash didn't just sing about falling in love. No, he made it sound dangerous, thrilling, and impossible to escape. The song was co-written by June Carter, who was watching her romance with Johnny unfold like a wildfire she couldn't put out. She compared the feeling to falling into a burning ring where passion and pain swirled together. Johnny's deep, steady voice turned her words into an anthem that scorched the charts and burned its way into country music history. The horns, the beat, and Johnny's gravitas made Ring of Fire unlike anything else on the radio. It was bold, it was risky, and it was unforgettable. And of course, the fact that it came from the real-life love story between Johnny and June only added to the fire. Decades later, it still feels as untamed as the day it was recorded. Ring of Fire is proof that when love strikes hard enough, it can't be whispered about. It has to be sung loud enough for the whole world to hear. Tennessee Waltz, Patti Page. Tennessee Waltz is one of those rare gems. From the gentle sway of the melody to Patti Page's smooth, almost whispered delivery, it feels like a memory you didn't know you'd been keeping. The story is deceptively simple. A night out dancing, a best friend, a favorite song, and then, in the turn of a waltz, love slips away. Patti sings it without bitterness, but the ache is right there, just beneath the calm. It's the sound of someone who isn't angry, just forever changed. When it was released in 1950, Tennessee Waltz didn't just top the charts, it became a part of America's emotional fabric. Couples danced to it at weddings, strangers bonded over it on the radio, and soldiers carried it with them overseas. It's Your Love, Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. There's chemistry, and then there's Whatever This Is. Tim McGraw and Faith Hill didn't just sing It's Your Love, they lived it in front of the world. From the first soft guitar strum, you're already leaning in, and by the time Faith's voice slides in alongside Tim's, you're convinced love songs should always come in pairs. The lyrics are as open-hearted as it gets. It's not just about attraction, it's about being transformed by someone's presence. The kind of love that makes you see colors sharper, breathe easier, and wonder how you ever managed without it. Their real-life romance adds an unshakable authenticity, turning every harmony into a confession. When the song dropped in 1997, it didn't just climb the charts, but camped at #1 on the Billboard Hot Country Singles for 6 weeks straight. Awards poured in, but the bigger win was how deeply it embedded itself into wedding playlists, first dances, and late-night slow drives. Livin' on Love. Alan Jackson. Livin' on Love takes listeners on a stroll through the kind of life that is being glued together with the simple, everyday joys, hard work, and stubborn devotion that we exchange with our loved ones. Alan Jackson sings it like a man who's actually sat on that front porch, coffee steaming, knowing that rich has nothing to do with a bank account. The verses feel like a photo album, a young couple chasing dreams, a middle-aged pair with laughter lines, an older duo trading speed for comfort, but never for love. Each scene hums with the quiet truth that material things fade, but a cared-for heart stays full. Released in 1994, this song wasn't just a chart topper, but it slowed down the decade's rush, reminding listeners that happiness isn't complicated. Whatever stage of life you're in, the refrain holds steady. You really can live on love if you mean it. Your Cheatin' Heart. Hank Williams. While most heartbreak songs just hit hard, but fade fast, Your Cheatin' Heart isn't one of them. Written in just 10 minutes by Hank Williams after the deep sting of betrayal, this tune became the ultimate country anthem for anyone with a broken heart. Hank didn't sugarcoat it. He sang about betrayal with raw honesty, asking listeners to feel the shame and regret in every line. The melody is simple, yet perfectly mournful, carrying the weight of lost trust and love that's been shattered. What really gives this song power is Hank's voice, achingly vulnerable one moment, filled with quiet fury the next. It's like he's confessing something painful and personal, and you're listening in on the moment. Since its release in 1952, every generation has found new truth in Your Cheating Heart. It has been covered by countless artists, each time reminding us that betrayal hurts the same way every time, no matter who's singing it. Decades later, the song still resonates. And you know it's real country when the pain feels as immediate as if your heart just cracked in two. To uncover more intriguing stories among Hollywood celebrities, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.